Welcome to Cake on Tuesday, where we spotlight the rule breakers, the underdogs who refuse to listen when everyone said it won't work. I'm Elizabeth Bieniuk, and for the next 20 minutes, we're diving into another disruptive innovation story that proves sometimes the craziest ideas change everything. Today's guest is Aurora Winter. I love guests that are really hard to introduce because they don't fit the box, and Aurora is the perfect example of that. So to give you a taste of what you're in for, she left a lucrative career as a TV executive to bring her media savvy and storytelling magic to the business world. A serial entrepreneur with founder experience in businesses as diverse as yacht rentals and grief counseling, she is also an author of 10 award-winning books in 2 different genres, because in typical Aurora fashion, why not do fiction and nonfiction if you can dominate both? So Aurora is the founder of Same Page Publishing, which helps people turn their words into wealth. Aurora Winter, I am tired already, but so excited for this conversation. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so glad to be on this show with you, Elizabeth, and I look forward to giving the listeners some tips on turning their words into wealth.
Awesome. Okay, let's dive right in. So Cake on Tuesday, we're all about celebrating the disruptive innovator, which you could think of this as celebrating the business Madonna, the one, the only Madonna who is constantly reinventing. This seems to fit you to a T. So can you tell us a little bit about what sets your soul on fire about doing all the things?
So many things set my soul on fire, and I think they keep me young. All right, 2 categories of things to share real quick. One that sets my soul on fire is anything creative. I love creating. I love writing books. I love creating videos. I love using my skill in film and television and my understanding of, the neuroscience of communication to make short stories and long stories. The other thing that really sets my soul on fire is helping founders, experts, and leaders who don't have my decades of experience in communication nail their message and share it with the world and make a bigger difference. I love doing that.
So I like to tell people I took the scenic route in my career because I did a lot of different things in a lot of different spaces. You obviously have done the same, but I can usually find a thread that binds, that kind of pulls these separate things together for my own life. Do you find the same for you? Is there that one thread that you could kind of weave through all these different careers and opportunities and writing and everything, that this is the thing that's kind of driven you forward?
It's so interesting because I'm like, yacht sales, tax shelters, started a film and television company, raised $5 million, exited
and maybe it is
businesses.
Just the creativity, like you said. I mean, it could be the variety, but curious from your thoughts.
Solving problems.
Okay.
It's problem solving. I think as entrepreneurs, we solve problems at a profit. And I've had lots of problems in my life. So every time I solve a problem for myself, I'm like, maybe I could solve this for other people too. So yeah. It's like I get a lot of juice out of, once I figured out how to solve a problem, making that system available for others.
Okay, I like that systematizing angle of it because I'm big on systems right now. I love the idea of taking things that are complicated and hard and repetitive, and how do you systematize anywhere in your life, like be that cooking, childcare, and house cleaning, anything. I like making systems. So tell us a little bit about some of the systems that you've employed in your career that have made you successful, either personally or in your business.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think I'm very active, so I solve problems for myself initially by just throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall as fast as possible, and then noticing,
the spaghetti approach. I like it.
That did not work. That did not work. Oh, that was a slam dunk. Let's just do more of that. And then once I've done that for a while for myself, for example, I've been publishing books. I've been self-publishing books since it wasn't sexy in 2005. And people are like, what? You can self-publish books? I didn't even know that was a thing. Now people are like, what? Why would you bother trad publishing? You make so much money self-publishing. But I was ahead of the curve then. It was so much harder then. And then, to offer those solutions to other people. And then I love solving problems for other people too. So one of my clients, who was my client when I was training coaches at the Grief Coach Academy, he's dyslexic, but he wanted to write a book about overcoming grief. Now he's written 3 award-winning books. Anyway, but he's dyslexic. He hates writing. He hates words, but he's a talker. So I'm like, oh, I could solve that problem. I will interview you. And I called that the spoken author method. I created it just for him. just for him. And now it's the thing
Mm.
I do all the time because it made him so happy. It was so easy for him to talk his book. And then in addition to getting his book, even before the book came out, he had like multiple podcast episodes, podcast-like episodes, the making of the book, so to speak, because each chapter of the book would be like an hour-long podcast. So the other, there's so many problems that people just do it. They have this attitude. I think you'll relate to this, Elizabeth. People are like, well, that's the way we've always done it. And that does not mean it's the right way. The way people have always written books is like they spend 3.5 years writing the book, and then it takes forever for it to come out. And by the time it comes out, they're bored of the topic and they don't want to talk about it. And then they don't even think about the marketing until after they press publish. So I thought, why not just compress all of that and create the videos, the audios, speak your book, get everything all at once, done up front. That seems much more intelligent, but it's not how it's normally done.
I love this because it's this idea of meeting people where they're at and communicating in the language that they understand and are most comfortable in. And that's something that I think all of business needs more of that. It just made me think about one of my early on jobs a million years ago when I was in operations capacity. And I remember having to fill out this really cumbersome report on behalf of all these different GMs. And they hated it because I had to do it every month. And they really dreaded this process. And when I first took it over from the previous person that was doing it, I was saying, look, I can't change this policy. It's a corporate policy. The stuff needs to get in this form, but I don't have to pass that pain on to you. Like, I just need the information that's in your head. You want to put that on the back of a napkin. You want to have somebody in your team fill it out and send it to me. You want to just have a chat for 20 minutes and tell me, and I'll pull it out of that. You could send it by carrier pigeon. I don't care. Just like, what's easiest for you? And I got a lot of really good feedback on that. I remember a lot of the GMs saying it was so nice. You took one of the most painful things and just made it easy and seamless. And so I love that you're applying that to the author process of how do you communicate in a language that's more comfortable? Because I know a lot of people that are like that. When you try and sit down and write an article, write a blog, anything, a book is even more daunting, and all the ideas go flying out of their head. But they're like, let's just have a chat.
Like,
and that's no problem.
Well, and the really cool thing is most people are good at talking, but they don't understand the structure that is most hooky for a chapter or for a book. They don't understand how to create a page turner. And that isn't so much about content. It's about sequence. It's about structure. So just like you interviewed people and they could give it to you on the back of a napkin in any old order, when I interview my clients to turn it into a book, they can give me the content just however it comes up. And then I will structure each chapter so it starts with a compelling story and it really hooks your attention and, ends with a little nugget of wisdom and has a quote at the beginning. And they don't have to worry about the structure. They can just share it however it comes out. But then they can rely on, me knowing the neuroscience of it. And then if they happen to have a fiction book, I love to help them also structure it so it could be turned into a movie. Ha-ha.
Ooh, okay. Now you're bringing in that TV media background as well. So I'm curious, have you always been fascinated with the concept of stories and storytelling, or is that something through your career in media that really came to life?
Pretty much have been obsessed with communication since I was 9. Yeah. That's
the
thing. I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Did you ever read that book?
Oh, yes, of course. And all the subsequent ones as well.
I realized that writers are wizards. With just black ink on white paper, we can transport somebody through a portal to another place in time, even to some place that doesn't exist, and make it real for them. And the other cool thing about books is they're like seeds. They germinate when somebody opens the book and waters it with their attention. So I've been mentored by so many people who are long dead. I think books are just the coolest things. I mean, people can put like a decade or more of their life experience into a book that you can get for $20, and you can read it, 100 years after they're dead. And they will have touched your life and made an impact. Like, wow, what else does that?
So my obsession with stories comes from, there's a quote, and I don't know who said it. I'm going to have to look it up after this podcast. But it was something to the effect of, through reading, I can live 1,000 lives. And I loved that way of looking at it because I struggle with opportunity cost. It's always, I want to do all the things. Then my grandmother used to always say, you can do everything, you just can't do everything all at once. And I thought there was a lot of wisdom in that. but I still struggle with that. So I like the idea of certain itches you can scratch through reading. You might not necessarily have to go do the thing, but you can vicariously live the thing through reading.
And you can
I
avoid
really like
all
that idea.
kinds of problems or see all
Yeah.
kinds of solutions. Jordan Peterson once said something along the lines of, a book is more durable than a castle. And that's really
Mm.
interesting. That's true. It's more durable than a rock or a castle. Like it's really part of your legacy. The other thing I love is cross-pollinating ideas. You probably will like this one. This probably seems to be how you work. And so many people, like through reading, you can get the flavor of, okay, what industry was this person in? How did they solve some problems? And then you could consider, maybe I could do that in my industry. And that is one of the shortest, easiest ways to have an enormous breakthrough is look at other industries outside your industry and see what's working. So, for example, an example of a great book, Shoe Dog, which told the story of Nike, which was
Oh, okay.
actually written. I think the ghostwriter was paid $1 million to write that book.
Whoa.
Most books, most memoirs, most books by famous people are not written by them. Hello. Anyway, I really
That part I
liked
know, but I
Shoe
didn't know
Dog.
ghostwriting could be so lucrative.
Yeah, well, what's his Moringer, I think his name is, a Pulitzer Prize winning author. People don't pay quite that much to work with me.
Yet.
Yet, exactly. Yeah, so I think books are a wonderful way to leave a legacy for the person whose book it is, but for us readers, like you could just get so much expertise and knowledge and inspiration. It's not only YouTube or TikTok that can inspire you. Go back to reading. The really cool thing about books is people polish them. They put effort, they put energy, they take out all of the unnecessary words. So they're actually very efficient use of your time.
Mm. That's an interesting way of putting it because so I've noticed this trend that we're seeing now. Books are getting shorter
Yes.
and a lot of things are ramping up like audio version. And I self admit that I do that as well. I do a lot of audiobooks now because I'm a chronic multitasker. But I think it's a little sad that books are getting shorter because that means we as a people don't have the same attention span that we used to. But that's an interesting point that you brought out that a book itself, through the process of writing and editing and everything, it is already condensed.
It is already condensed. It already is the most efficient use of your time. Also, I relieve people of the obligation to finish a book that isn't working for you. But a good book is a very efficient use of your time. It's like a gem. I love podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time, and I consume a lot of content on other platforms like YouTube, because YouTube's the number 2 search engine. But books are, all the fluff has been taken out. If it's a good book. And if it's
Mm.
not a good book, you don't have to finish it. There's a lot of good books out there. Move on to the next one. Yeah. And the other thing, I'm sure you know this, you need to have a book if you want to be considered seriously as any kind of thought leader. If you want to get on podcasts, radio, or TV, you really have to have a book. And when people are authors, or the root of the word authority is author, the person has taken the time to condense their wisdom and get it into, like you have in your books, the 5 different steps, from starting is hard to insights from the rearview mirror. Like you have something to say and you've thought it through and you've got catchy words to express it. So there's a lot of value in writing a book even before
Mm.
you publish it, even before anybody reads it,
Yeah.
because it invites you, it challenges you to get really clear, to look at your life, to look at your business, to look at your experience and go, well, that really sucked, but what is the wisdom? Or that was really
Yeah.
good, but what did I do and how could that help others?
Yes. That makes me think of that Elizabeth Elliot quote, "You never fully understand what you believe until you write it down." There's that
Yeah,
clarity and
exactly.
forcing function in doing that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
tell us a little bit about where your business is going, what you're most excited about next. I mean, I could expect anything at this point.
Well, I'm definitely one of those outliers because I get so charged up about being creative. As soon as I've got systems and I've figured everything out, then I get bored. Then I want to do the
Yeah.
next thing. So as we chatted about before we started recording, Sora 2 just came out, which is basically AI video creation on steroids. And I've really had a lot of fun. I am having a lot of
The
fun with
official
my
description.
my YouTube channel, Strategic Basics, which I've only been doing for 5 months. It's got about 30,000 subscribers now because I looked at the overall playing field and I'm like, okay, it's not going to be SEO anymore. So you got to get what are the other search engines? So YouTube is the number 2 search engine. Amazon is the number 3 search engine. So you got to have a book and be on YouTube. And then you will be indexed by the AI, by the LLMs. Anyway, so after 5 whole months of doing a YouTube channel, my son and I decided to do an animated YouTube channel. So for my fantasy series, which starts with this book, Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse, we're going to do little short AI-produced videos, and it'll be on YouTube. I think it's going to be called Anna Zest's Animated Series. Anna Zest Animated Series. And it's amazing what can be produced. Even before Sora 2 came out, my son gave me a couple of videos and they're like, wow, they're amazing. And then the other cool thing about doing my other YouTube channel, the Strategic Basics one, is I learn all these really random things that I like, oh, that's interesting. I'll do a channel, an episode about it. So micro dramas in China, for example, are taking off. They're little 90-second vertical tastes of a story that ends with a hook. So people usually will get like the first couple episodes for free, maybe on TikTok or wherever, but then they have to go to another platform and they then pay between 50 cents and $1 to watch another 90 seconds. And people get so addicted to this. This is it's overtaken the box office in China. It's almost $1 billion in the United States. It's about $7 billion in China. People end up paying $30 to watch a feature-length film because they're paying for every 90 seconds. Anyway, so that's an example of cross-pollinating. Because I was doing that other thing and learning, because my background's in film, so some of my episodes are about film business. I'm like, oh, people really like these 90-second short things. Maybe we could do something like that. But then instead of doing what's already proven, I'm going to break the mold and do them horizontally on YouTube because they're prettier. So but as you can see, I'm excited about life.
How do you keep yourself from getting too distracted with all the things? How do you decide whether this is something I want to pursue, I'm going to do it, or this is bright and shiny, but no, this is not the right thing for right now?
That is a good question. I
Might be asking for myself.
Okay. Well, I also found doing the news channel, I got a little bit triggered with all the news. I'm like, oh, I need to calm down here. So I recommitted to meditating every morning. So I meditate every morning for about 20 minutes. And then I journal every morning. And I'm like, okay, I have these 19 things to do. But then I also ask for guidance. Every morning I bless my family, I bless my clients, I bless my prospects who I haven't even met yet. And that seems to settle me down. And then I look at, okay, life isn't only about making money. Life isn't only about doing what's logical. Life is about living. So what gives me joy? Where have I got that spark of life? Where have I got that juicy, alive feeling going on? Because every time in my life when I lean into that, it always works out. But sometimes it works out in a very unexpected way. But that's okay.
Okay, what story came to mind when you said that? What turned out in a very unexpected way?
Oh my gosh, so many different stories. Well, okay, so for example, now that I've figured out how to do the YouTube video thing and I'm having fun with it, I realize another one of my clients, her book is called The Vitality Solution, and she's amazing and she's changing the world, but she is so overcommitted with her own time. So I'm like, she needs to be cloned. I can help her with that. So I have all the audios from interviewing from her book. I have the content of her book. Now we know how to actually clone somebody's voice. And if she wants, we could even have a clone of her doing her little YouTube channel or social media. If she doesn't want that, it could be a still image or it could be B-roll with other stuff talking about her content. And I'm like, I can solve this problem for her. And that's an unexpected result of me thinking through doing the Anna Zest animated series for my fantasy book. Right? So that would be an example of, okay, once I wrap my mind around how to do something, then I don't know, when I'm falling asleep at night, I'm like, this client has this problem. I could maybe solve that for them. What about you? How do you decide what to do?
Mine. Yeah, I do a lot of walking.
Walking is good.
Walking, thinking, praying. I find physically getting outside. I talk
Yeah.
about the concept of figuratively and literally getting outside makes a big difference of just
Yeah.
changing what you're looking at, changing your four walls, changing your perspective. So for me, anytime I'm wrestling with something of like there's too many things or I'm not sure which one or I'm not getting the clarity I want, I go for a walk. And usually in that process of it's very healing and rejuvenating. I think seeing birds and sunlight and everything else that's not my office, and it
Yeah.
gives a different perspective. And I think the physical act of walking, just movement, helps
Yeah.
a lot.
That helps
And
a
I'll
lot.
let my mind wander a bit and get distracted by, ooh, bunny. And sometimes just having those distractions allows a lot of clarity. That's usually when I'm a
That's good.
walking prayer too. I pray while I walk, and that just helps give me guidance and clarity. And yeah,
The o
getting
the
outside,
oth
that's a big thing.
Yeah, that I love that. I do that too. I usually go for a walk every day. I live right beside a park and a lake. It's gorgeous. But the other thing I am just noticing, and am reminded of is my little rule that I have, which is called output before input. And what this
Okay.
means to me is that after I've meditated and had my coffee, I write. That's my output. So I write
Okay.
for at least 90 minutes on my own books or my clients' books. Sometimes I do two 90-minute stretches. And then I go to the gym and then I listen to the news and all the podcasts and the audiobooks. But what I notice
Mm,
is most people are a little bit unaware that if they allow the social media feed to come in too early in the day, they're actually exhausting their brain consuming content instead of creating
mm,
content or doing the things that will move their business or their life forward. So, and I actually
mm.
especially noticed this with ChatGPT and Claude and other LLMs. Like as I am using them, because I'm leaning into things that are new. I'm like, I can either be terrified or I can lean into it, and I'm leaning in. But I noticed that there's so many decisions that I'm making. I'm like, it gives me an answer to a prompt. I'm like, no, that's not right. Do it this way. And it gives me another answer. And before I know, I've like thought through this 25 different ways. I'm like,
Right.
that's a lot of brain drain. So
Yeah.
I'm finding it very helpful to be aware that just because LLM can help you figure out something quickly doesn't mean that it doesn't cost you a lot of your brain. So
Oh, that's a really good point and distinction. I like that. I might steal that, the output before input, because I don't have a nice catchy phrase for it. But as you're saying that, I'm like, oh, I do this. I very much focus on that. I'm a morning person. So that first part of the day, that's when I'm freshest. So
yeah,
whatever I
me
apply
too.
myself to in the very beginning is going to get the best of me. And then it just deteriorates from there.
Yeah, it
So
goes
I try
downhill
to
from
always
there.
focus that on the biggest things, the hardest problems, the most creative outlets. And I, not really actively thinking about it, I do forego inputs because I look at it as where am I going to spend that first bit of energy, because that's my best energy of the day. So I like that, output
So
before
you're
input.
already
That's a
doing
good.
that. That's good. Yeah,
I'm
you
ready.
can totally,
I'm ready.
totally
I'm
use
ready.
output before
Practicing what you
input.
preach. Well, that's actually a great insight to leave on. But before I ask you where folks can find you, I have one other question. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice that would maybe shortcut some pain and trial and error over the years, what would it be?
There certainly was a lot of pain and trial and error.
Well,
Uh,
heaven will.
I I would tell my younger self, "Don't take your life so darn seriously, girlfriend. Lighten lighten up. Life is long. Have fun." Also, I think, when I was younger, I thought, "Well, I have to do something. When I grow up, it's gonna be one thing." Like, no, it
Ah,
doesn't have to be one thing. Your life can have so
yes.
many different chapters. I've run so many different businesses. Your life is much more like a book. It has chapters, but it's also a series, so it's a trilogy or whatever. So
Right.
and you can write a new chapter or a new book anytime. So that's what I tell my younger self. Don't take things so seriously and don't think you need one answer for the rest of your life. That's absurd.
Mm, that's
But she
good.
didn't know
And I'll
that.
take the wisdom you said earlier too about if you're reading a book and it's not working, you don't have to finish the book. It's kind of the same thing. If it's your chapter and if that chapter's not working, just jump on to the next one. You don't
Exactly
have to
right.
wrap it up. Just move on. So
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. All right, Aurora, where can people find you more about you and the a million things you do.
And a million things I do. Well, my publishing company is called Same Page Publishing because I come on the same page as my client. So that's at samepage.com. Or my website is my name, aurorawinter.com. AuroraWinter.com. And they can get some free resources and learn more. Or they can check out on YouTube, Strategic Basics, and coming soon, Anna Zest animated series if you want to watch some fun fantasy.
I love that. Lots of ways to find you. We'll put the links in the show notes as well. Aurora, thank you so much for being with us. Aurora Winter, everyone. Check her out. She's doing all the things. Cheers. Thanks for joining another Cake on Tuesday celebration of beautiful disruption. Please share it, review it, and find more innovative stories at podcast.cakeontuesday.com. I'm Elizabeth Bienyik. Be bold, stay curious. Now go have some cake.